say, or you won't be going out there to play.
Because I'm the director of the show. That's what he says. And that's what, you know what, that's what I can appreciate. The NFL needs to take that same type of posture. So tonight, Jay, I'm a Giants fan. I'm not a Giants fan. I'm an Eli Manning fan, but I want the Vikings to beat them.
Yeah, you have to.
And it's because
Yeah, no doubt about that. You have to cheer for the Vikings tonight.
you have to cheer for the Vikings tonight, even though you may be an Eli Manning fan.
Got to do it because you're a Cowboys fan.
I'm a Cowboys fan, and so we're talking about win-loss records here, and I want the Giants to lose as many as they possibly can while the Cowboys continue to win. Now, thank you, Holmes Honda European, Bailey's Fine Jewelers, Tiger Axle, along with Milam Cars, Chevy Land, Subway, and Yoakum Toyota for sponsoring this segment of the CL Bryant Show. Folks, I don't know if you saw this, but Michelle, you had brought up something earlier about Bill Clinton having a son that sort of looks like me.
I have no words. There's undocumented. Some people say that there has been no paternity test, but he's from Arkansas.
Oh yeah, well,
and he's 20-something years old, and they're saying that he's an illegitimate child of Bill Clinton. But it came out before in 1992. It's hard to know. I've seen things on both sides until we know for sure that he's his son. Because you know what? In 2016, you can verify that that's my child.
Oh, yeah.
In 1992, it wasn't so easy.
It wasn't so easy back then. But
he doesn't look like you. I have to say.
But anyway.
But he looks like Bill Clinton. He really does.
He looks like Bill.
There's a lot of pictures that are the two of them side by side as babies and all of that.
Wow.
But again, it's we don't know for sure. So
we don't know for sure. Well, you know what? I tell you the truth. As long as Bill's not going to run for president anymore, though.
I don't know. Stranger things have happened.
Stranger things are happening right now in this presidential race, folks. I don't know where they're going with all this stuff. I don't know. But next, Dan Bongino is going to be on with us to talk about it. Dan Bongino, secret agent man, former Secret Service agent, will be on with it. A friend of the show, friend of mine. We'll be back with him in just a couple of minutes. I'm CL. Don't you go anywhere. CL. Back on this Monday here in the jewel cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport, and Bossier, streaming live throughout the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known, and that is the United States of America. And on the line with me now is one of America's sons, native sons. His name is Dan Bongino, and he has served his country in the capacity of Secret Service agent. Takes a special guy to do it. He is the author of Life Inside the Bubble, and that is none other than my good friend Dan Bongino, radio host in his own right. Welcome back to the C.L. Bryant Show, Dan.
Yeah, man, good to be here. How are you?
Doing fantastically well, Dan, and I am still on the Trump train, headed full steam ahead. I do believe we can win this thing, but there might be some modifications that Trump has to do in this next week or so to be more effective. Dan, how are you seeing this shape up?
Well, you know, he's got to go on the counterattack right away with this ridiculous tax story. I mean, this is I don't get it. I mean, think about this, right? You have a company. I was trying to explain this to people today on my podcast out there, that the business cycle does not follow the tax cycle. That's why tax laws are written this way. So if CL, say you wanted to put out a T-shirt line, and the anticipated life cycle of the T-shirt line was 2 years. But let's say, due to marketing and promotion in the beginning, you're expecting to lose a bit of money in your first year. Now, the reason the tax laws are written the way they are and you can carry those losses forward is because the T-shirt line isn't following the tax cycle, CL. So if you lose $25,000 the first year and then you make $50,000 later on, you're ultimately going to wind up paying taxes thanks to these being able to carry losses forward on about $25,000 rather than $50,000. Now, that's not particularly complicated. But idiot liberals who don't understand anything will fire away all weekend and say things like, Trump doesn't pay taxes. Really? You know that? You've seen his taxes? He doesn't pay state taxes? He doesn't pay local taxes, sales taxes, employment taxes, Social Security taxes? Listen, you and I have been fighting this fight for a long time. This is what really pisses me off about liberals, pardon my language. They're so dumb that they don't even understand the tax laws. They humiliate themselves on social media, and then they, impugn the integrity of the candidate while their candidate is under an FBI investigation or was.
Absolutely,
it's ridiculous.
And you know what, Dan? Now you guarded Bill Clinton, didn't you? Did you guard Bill?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guarded Bill Clinton. Now, at the time that you were guarding the president, Bill Clinton, at the time, he was making about $350,000-$400,000 a year, right? Now here we are 20 years. Now here we are 20 years later, Dan, and he's worth about $35-40 million. 300 from making a salary of $400,000 a year with his wife as first lady making zilch, nothing. He's now worth over $30 million. Now this is a politician, Dan. Donald Trump, in the same amount of time, was a businessman. And you're absolutely right. His way of looking at taxes is not the same way as a politician looking at taxes who's making just $30,000 a year. But my question is, how in the heck did the Clintons get so filthy rich when they weren't making but $400,000 a year? And she says that they left the office almost broke. I don't get it.
Well, because they're hacks. I mean, that's what hacks do. Hacks hack. I mean, they're political hacks who sell influence. That's what they do. I mean, do you think the Saudi government that was donating millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation was doing so because they cared about the charitable causes?
No.
I mean, the Saudi government understood this woman could potentially be the president. The hackery here is so obvious to people with common sense. Think about this one thing, too, CL, because you brought up something about the taxes. I just want to go back to this. This is important. It's funny how a lot of these millennials, not all of them, there are a lot of smart kids out there, but a lot of these millennials out there who are supporting Hillary go, oh, man, Donald Trump with the taxes. This is horrible. He didn't pay taxes. He lost a lot of money. What a terrible businessman. He lost all that money. Meanwhile, these are the same kids buying iPhones. You realize, like Steve Jobs, God rest his soul, Steve Jobs, just watch the movies if you don't want to read the books. Jobs was in charge of Apple when Apple was done. Apple was finished. I mean, people were selling the stock for garbage until they came back with the Mac and then the iPod. I mean, people forget that. So you telling me because Jobs lost money, oh, Steve Jobs is a terrible businessman? Listen, I'm not vouching for Trump's business acumen. I don't know the guy. I don't work for Trump. I haven't seen his taxes. But you're telling me from seeing one page, CL, that's all I've seen in this New York Times, which broke the law, by the way, the New York Times. These hacks over there was a real hacks at the time. So you're telling me you've seen one page of his tax return where he declares a loss, where hundreds of businessmen were going out of business in real estate those years due to the downturn in the market and macro pressures beyond Trump's control. And you've all of a sudden concluded, you liberals, in your genius business acumen, that Trump's a terrible businessman and that Hillary, as you just said, with a $35 million salary for doing nothing but selling influence, is far better for business. I mean, seriously. Stop humiliating yourself on social media with this nonsense.
You hit the nail on the head, man, and I want to talk to you about the comeback because, Dan, one of the things that Americans admire more than anything else is someone who has been knocked down and is able to brush themselves off and get back up again and get back in the game. Every time Donald Trump has met some type of setback, every time he has somehow fallen down, he has gotten up again. And Dan, we come back over the other side of the break. I want to talk about that ability to come back. And I want to talk about this too. I hear a lot of these millennials, you brought them up, talking about, well, he had a silver spoon in his mouth from the time, that, he was born and yada, yada, yada. But Dan, I know that you have known, and I have known some very wealthy people who had kids that they passed that wealth on to, and they squandered every penny of it. They didn't come anywhere near where Trump is as far as making that money turn into more money. Folks, we're on with former Secret Service agent Dan Bongino, who did, in fact, guard the Clintons when Bill Clinton, when he was president of the United States. He is the author of the book, In Life Inside the Bubble. And he is a friend of mine. He is a radio personality in his own right. You see him all the time on Fox News. And when we come back, I want to talk to him some more. And you want to listen, I promise you. I'm CL. We'll be right back. CL, back with Secret Service agent Dan Bongino, and he is the author of the book Life Inside the Bubble. Dan, where can we get Life Inside the Bubble?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. Amazon has it now, and my second book, The Fight's available there, too, so I really appreciate that. Thanks a lot.
Life Inside the Bubble, go to Amazon, and The Fight by author Dan Bongino, who is our guest right now on the CL Bryant Show. Thank you for coming back. Dan, one of the reasons why I believe that and why I'm on the Trump train, I got my jersey on and I'm rooting for him. He's Dan, I mean, he's really got to win this thing. He's got to win this thing. But now, people had counted him out after this debate. I personally think that he won the first 3/4 of the 2/4 of the debate, 3/4 of the debate, but then he got lured out into some swampy water where he did not belong. What did you think of it?
You know, having run for office and having been behind the scenes during multiple presidential campaigns and, listening to these strategy things and how these people, work, I think the problem with Trump, and I understand it, so I'm not going to, cheap shot him, but he has a tough time staying on message. But, I was going to write a piece, a conservative review about this week, and I changed my mind. I may change it again, but I get it. I mean, I don't think it's the right political strategy, but I understand, CL. I mean, you and I, we've known each other. We've been around each other. We've shot one of your films together. I mean, we're proud guys.
Yeah.
You're going to punch me in the teeth. I'm going to punch
you back. You betcha.
But that doesn't work in politics. It just doesn't. And believe me, I ripped a guy a new, on a phone call that went, international, and that's just the way I am. You fight me, I'm going to fight back, and that's your personality. But it doesn't necessarily work in politics. So I know 1,000 people have said this, but if I was in the room with the Trump team, and I know they're saying this, I don't want to act like I'm the only one putting it out there.
Right.
And I think you would say the same thing. I would say, listen, you've got her dead to rights on taxes, on business experience, on school choice, which you and I both know is important in the black community. 25,000 people marched this weekend for school choice in New York. This is the kind of stuff that resonates with people. We know Obamacare stinks. You got her dead to rights on that one. We have to stay on message. There's only 30-something days left. I mean, really 10 days until voting starts in Ohio.
Yep.
We have to stay on message and stop getting sidetracked with, like, this Miss Universe. I mean, even if he's right, about Miss Universe, that whatever, that he sends some kind of a sex tape or something. I mean, who cares?
Who cares?
The bottom line is, even if all that's right, why do you even care? Let's just move on and talk about something else.
It's as unimportant, Dan, as Bill Clinton's son. That I'm not going to go off on that trail. As far as the kids saying,
isn't that story crazy?
It's absolutely nuts, man.
Is that true?
I don't know, Dan, but you know what? That's exactly what we're talking about. It has nothing to do with the price of oil in America and the Saudis. It has nothing to do with Iraq, Iran, or Benghazi, for that matter. And so Bill may have a kid. Thomas Jefferson had a few, I think. But just the same, it didn't diminish his ability to pen the Declaration of Independence. That's what we're talking about here. And so Trump, even though he may have faults and all that kind of thing, what man does not? What woman does not, Dan? Let's stick to the issue. Let me say this to you. Stephen Bannon is I've known him for years, going back to Breitbart when Andrew was still alive. Sure. And I know that Steph is a tough guy. Steph is a guy who must be, if Trump allows him, telling him, stick to the script I'm writing for you. Because nobody else may know this, but I know that Steph is writing those scripts. I know he is. And so, listen, you have it right, man. The only thing he has to do is listen to the coaches on the sideline and run the play. That's what he has to do, is run the play. What do you say?
And it doesn't mean he doesn't have to attack. Just get someone else to do it. Go find like a Roger Stone to go out there and say, hey, Bill Clinton's got an illegitimate. That's fine. I mean, Obama did it. Remember Stephanie Cutter accusing that guy of of Romney of killing a woman with cancer?
Yeah.
That wasn't Obama. He had Harry Reid and these goofballs do it. But Trump should be talking about substantive stuff that makes him look presidential and not getting down in the weeds. But again, at CL, so I'm not speaking with forked tongue here. I know how hard it is. I couldn't do it myself. People punched me. I was like, go, and you can basically, here's where you can put your lips, buddy. I mean, you know how many people told me not to do that? And I can't. So again, I'm throwing myself under the bus too. It's really, really tough to do when you are not a trained politician, which means a trained fraud and a phony.
But that's what we love about you, Dan, is that you are real. And I tell you the truth, that's what I love about Trump, is that it's none of that politician fluff. There, you get what you got. You get what he is, and what he has been is successful. Dan, listen, man, I know that you're going to fight the good fight. And, brother, I appreciate your fire and desire to save this republic, man. And God bless you. God keep you is my prayer. And thank you so much for coming on with me. And we'll talk to you. I need to talk to you before about a week before the election. I know you're going to be busy, but make room for me.
Yeah, man. You know my number. I'll talk to you soon.
God bless. Bye now. Dan Bongino, secret agent man and friend of mine, friend of the show. And you know what? He's right. This is what I do admire about Donald Trump, even though, like Dan, I wish he would stay closer into the script. Listen, I know it's good, but there are some independents. Those of us who already have the jerseys on, we're going to keep them on. We're not going to take them off because we don't have anywhere to go. There's nowhere to go. I'm going to ride this Trump train until it ends. Whether it takes us to destination as the White House, that's where we're headed. But if it derails on the way there, by golly, I'm going to be on it. I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. But I'm just going to be on it. And so listen, I don't have anywhere to go. And I need the candidate, I need the quarterback to run the play that we have here. And we need this time, this debate time, this time around at the debate, to be like it was flip the coin with Obama and Romney. The first time out, Romney was supposed to have won the first debate. The last two debates, Obama cleaned his clock, according to some. Trump's got to clean some clocks this next time around, or there will be a lot of dazed and confused people after November 8th. I'm CL. We'll be right back.
Lots of people talking, few of them know. Soul of a woman was created below.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
CL back with you on this Monday here in the jeweled cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport and Bossier City. And, of course, we're streaming live throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known, and that is America. Well, last block we had on Secret Service agent Dan Bongino, who did, in fact, guard Bill Clinton. And he, of course, now is hoping that Trump becomes president of the United States, and he gave many reasons why. And I'm on board with that. And I think you should be also. But I want to shift now to some things that bring you to local interest right here in the Jewel City, Shreveport and Bossier. And on with me is Cassie Hammett, founder of Hub, which is an incredible ministry right there in the heart of Shreveport. And along with her is Leanne Bussey, director of Purchased, Not for Sale. Cassie, welcome back to the C.L. Bryant Show.
Thanks for having me.
As always, you are welcome and glad that you are here. Now, you have an event coming up next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow night, folks, that you really need to be attuned to. And Cassie, take it away. Tell us what it is and how can we help.
Every year we have an event called Justice for the City, which serves as our annual fundraiser. And so it's just a night where we come together and honestly celebrate, really, more than anything, all of the stories that have come out of our ministry in the last year. And so the event is different from most fundraisers that people have attended in the sense that we don't have a high-profile speaker that comes in, and it's not a fancy sit-down setting. Instead, we give all of our time that night to the people that we serve for them to have the microphone and tell their stories. And so it's just a really cool opportunity for people to come and not just hear what we do logistically, but hear it from the mouths of people who are engaging in our programs. And
Ooh,
so
I like that.
Yeah,
I like
it's a lot of fun. And this year we have some of our girls in our program learned a choreographer dance, or there's a girl singing, there's a girl doing poetry. So it's really more of just a big party, honestly, to kind of celebrate what's happened this year.
So you're saying that the people that you have actually helped will actually get a chance to hear from them,
Right.
and see them and
Right.
hear their own
Yes, sir.
stories in their own words.
Right.
I don't think I've been to anything, Michelle, quite like that.
No. And everything about Cassie is innovative. Everything. Of the ministry, the work that you do.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I agree.
Thank
I agree. And I'll tell you something, folks. That's why we're going to, the C.L. Bryant Show will have a table there. And listen, how much room do you have for tables? Because this is the largest listening audience you have here.
Yeah, so we can have up to 100 tables, and we're at 90 now. So we're almost at
and
maximum
it includes
capacity.
mine?
No, so
Okay,
91.
well, hey, listen. 90, you have 91.
Yeah.
You have 91 tables, and anybody else out there, business people out there, I'm going to challenge each and every one of you. How much are the tables?
200.
$200 per table. They seat 8 folks. There's going to be 8 folks at my table, and any of our sponsors, any of you out there who want to sponsor a table, Cassie, how do they get a hold of you?
They can go to the website. It's just thehubministry.com/justice for the city. And that's all the information.
hubministries.com/justice for the city. I want you to please help this. Listen, we always complain about the condition of our city, the condition of the people in our city. We always want to lodge the complaint. And now there is something that you can, in fact, do. So do that. Do that. And also with me is Leanne Bussey. Leanne is the director of a ministry called Purchased, Not for Sale. I've heard much about it from my pastor, Pastor James McMinnis at the Word of God Ministries.
Yeah.
And before he started talking to me about it, Ben Pirtle was talking to me about it. Ben's in Dallas now.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Leanne.
Thank you.
Tell us about Purchase, Not for Sale.
So Purchased is an organization that works with women and children who are transitioning out of the sex industry, so prostitution, escort services, things like that. And then we also work with women and children who are victims, who have been victims of human trafficking or are what we call at risk of being pulled into that lifestyle. So we work with just that that group of women as a whole. Obviously, that's a can of worms of what all goes into that, but that's what we do.
That's fantastic. Now, this fundraiser will help both causes.
Right. Right. So the hub is our umbrella ministry over the two main things we do, which is the Lovewell Center, which I've talked about here, and Purchase. So they're both under the umbrella of the hub. So this annual fundraiser we have is the one opportunity where you can hear about all of it, all the sides of what we do.
Folks, please do go and hear about all of this. Now, when did Purchase spin off from Hub, or how old is it?
About 5 years ago. So the hub's been in existence for 9 years, and so at about 4 years into that is when we started Purchase.
Leanne, that type of ministry and that type of counseling, I imagine there's a lot of counseling
Yes.
that goes into that.
Lots
Tell us
and
a little bit about. I know you can't share the stories or anything about it, but there are women that you probably would not expect to be in that situation that you find in that situation.
Yeah, one thing we've learned is that the industry has no stereotype. So, you know, and I'm even guilty of this, but I thought, you know, human trafficking just happened, you know, in poor countries or overseas. I never imagined that it happened in my own city. And so when I learned that, and then I learned that the women that are in that lifestyle, that have been pulled into that lifestyle, I mean, all shapes, sizes, colors, you know, it doesn't, the industry doesn't know one type of woman. And so that's probably the biggest thing that I've seen. But as far as the counseling goes, that's actually part of our program. So every woman that enters our program, every woman and child that enters our program gets free counseling as a part of that, which is really cool.
You know what, Leanne, you said something, and you and I, Cassie, we've talked about this before. When you think about the homeless, there is a stereotyping that you place on that person. Oh, they must have always been, you know, in this situation or so forth.
Right.
Oh, she must have put herself in this type of situation. But that is the wrong, and we're very quick to kind of judge that type thing, aren't we?
That's right.
And it's strange how when we look at this thing, we forget that this could be your cousin, your sister, your brother. Is that a fact? Is that a fact?
Yes,
it could be any one
right.
of us.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now, the long run, the future goal. When I come back, I want to talk about what are you thinking for the future. What plans does Hub? What plans does Purchased have for the future? I mean, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. What do you ladies envision your ministry to be? And again, we want to reiterate what's going on next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow night. And I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with Cassie Hammett and Leanne Bussey when we return.
And failed attempts.
CL back with you on this Monday here in the jeweled cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport, and Bossier City. Now, Cassie, you've started this journey. How long ago? How long have you been on this road?
9 years.
9 years. So the journey's begun. You're 9 years down the road. And, of course, you're having the fundraiser next Tuesday night. Tell us again about that before I ask you the question.
So next Tuesday night, the 11th at 6:30, we have our annual fundraiser. And I was explaining earlier that the way we do our event is we give the 2 hours, we split it between people who get to tell their stories and get up on stage and speak to where they were, before our ministry intersected with their lives, and really where they are now and what their future goals. One of my favorite things about the fundraiser is allowing people to hear that the people we serve, whether it's prostitutes or the homeless or a drug addict, we love for them to say their future dreams for themselves, because I think that people don't think that they have dreams for themselves, and so they get a chance to say, this is what I want for my life, whether it's what they want to do for a living or if they want to get married and have children, whatever it is that they want to do. They get to say that in front of 700 people who maybe apart from that night would have treated them with disrespect, and now they're we kind of feel like we get to make them famous, for our community. So if you come that night, you'll hear stories everywhere from men who are homeless and were housed and are and are now working and getting back into employment, or you'll hear stories of women coming out of Purchase who were trafficked by a pimp for years and then overnight came into our program and their lives have been radically changed. And honestly, we could tell those stories and they wouldn't be as effective as if you heard it from the mouth of the person who experienced it.
Just listening to you, a thought hit me that once these lives had derailed, let's just say, you are now able to show the work that the Lord has allowed you to do. And you're also able to give them a platform and a stage that they may have thought they would never achieve again.
That's right.
Folks, you've got to help with this. You have got to help with this. Leanne, 5 years down the road. Okay, you how long have you been doing this now?
This is my 5th year.
Okay, so you've seen from where you started 5 years ago to this point in time. Now, you've seen the progress, of course, that you've made. 5 years down the road, what would you like to see happening? What type of resources would you like to have at your disposal to further your ministry?
Yeah, probably the biggest thing is we see multiple foster homes for the girls that we work with under the age of 18. So what that looks like in our heads, in our vision, is that we have homes all over the city and region, honestly, that homes that have been trained so they understand what is human trafficking, what does that look like, what has a girl gone through that's coming out of that. And then when we get a victim of human trafficking under the age of 18, we're able she doesn't just get thrown in the system, which, the foster care system, I mean, it's so needed, but unfortunately, a lot of our girls have come out of that system that are in the situation they're in because of that. And so we want to be able to place a girl strategically in a home that knows exactly where she's coming from and what she's seen and is able to love on her and take her in. So that's probably the biggest thing that we see down the road that we want to do.
And more houses for our adults. That's another thing.
More houses?
Yeah, we have 4. And if we got one tomorrow, it would be full. And if we got one the next day, it would be full. We have a waiting list.
And folks, those of you who've been listening to the show for the nearly 3 years we've been on now, you know that I have 3 daughters and, of course, 4 granddaughters. And to think about any of them being in a situation where I was not there and couldn't help or whatever, that would be the most distressing thing in my life. I cannot even imagine that. Now you think about your kids. You think about your daughters. You think about your sons and their daughters and their kids. Folks, why help? You help because it could be you. It might be them. That's why I'm writing my check tonight. I'm writing my check tonight. And you need to do the same. Get that table. You be there to hear the story. Now, Michelle is going to be there for me. I'm going to be out of town on next Tuesday. I'll be up in anyway, I'll be somewhere. Well, you know where. I know it won't be. I'll be in somewhere. But anyway, I'll be out of. I know that I'm out of town, but I won't be there. But I'm going to represent with my money. You represent, even if you can't be there. Put somebody. The table will hold 8 people. Put 8 people at your table, and bring your checkbook, because this is a fundraiser. And we talk about what can we do, what will we do to make our city a better place. Well, this is an investment that keeps on giving. So be there. Now, Cassie, for the hub, you've told us that 5 years down the road you want to see, if you opened up another house. Now, a house has how many people? I mean, when you open up a house, how many do you serve?
Well, each house has a house mom that lives with the girls that are in the program, and then typically 4 or 5 per house total. So they're each pretty much get their own room and their own space, and so every house that we add is 4 or 5 more.
And the children are there.
Mm-hmm. If they have children, yes.
Yeah.
If women come to us with kids, they get bigger rooms, obviously, and we are strategic with where we put them and give them enough space. But yeah, so we don't turn any situation away.
Wow.
And so, but right now,
that's a tall order.
I know it is.
That's a tall order.
That's right. And Leanne maybe can speak to this, but I don't know how many are on the waiting list right now.
Oh gosh, last I checked, which was on Thursday, we had 9.
Wow.
On the waiting list.
On the waiting list.
Just on the waiting list. And all 4 of our houses are full currently. So.
Incredible.
And we hope that they stay full, honestly, because if they stay full, that means that the girls are sticking out the program and their lives are changing. And so instead of trying to get them out of the houses, we just need more houses, because we want those houses to stay
building,
full.
What type of house? What type of place are you looking for?
We use just traditional homes.
Okay.
And they live in these homes as that's just where they live. We don't do any program stuff there. That is their space. That's their environment, just like you and I when we go home. And so they're all donated to us, which is amazing. And they're just regular, houses like you and I live in great parts of town.
I got to tell you something, folks. I've from the first time that Pastor introduced me to you about 2-3 years ago now, the first time that we met. I didn't know you. I just knew that there was something very different about you, and the ministry that you were doing was incredibly different. But there was a genuineness. And folks, I'm telling you, I'm not blowing any smoke. I don't blow smoke. But you help these folks. Help Cassie Hammett, and I want you to help Leanne with their work at Purchase Not for Sale and The Hub. I'm CO. I'll be back in just a minute. CL, back with you on this Monday. I tell you what, I'm always delighted, and it's always delightful to have Miss Hammett, Cassie Hammett, in with me. It's always delightful to have her in. And then we made some new friends tonight. Leanne Bussey was here with her, and their ministries are the hub, and it is truly a hub down there, and it seems like it just never ebbs. It's always flowing down there where they are, and purchased, not for sale. This to help, and I like what Leanne said, because there are certain things that we stereotype. There are certain people that we stereotype when we see them and we see their situation, and we don't understand that, hey, anybody can be in that situation. And I want to tell you something. One of the reasons why you ought to take interest in this presidential election is because anybody can wind up in this situation, and you need somebody who understands their way out of a situation. I think Donald Trump's the guy for that. On the line with me now, take your calls at 320-5335, 318-320-5335 is the number to call. But Bo, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind, brother?
Yes, sir. I just had a question about the Trump and his taxes. I'm just confused because the media and everybody else seems to be chastising this man for figuring out the rules and playing by them, and apparently that's a bad thing. Even though the last 30 years Hillary Clinton's been in office, she hasn't had the opportunity to fix any of the tax issues.
Right, exactly right. And you know what, Bo, is it not a taxpayer's responsibility to his family to try and keep as much money as you possibly can in your pocket? Is that not what we all do? We may not all be billionaires. We may not all be making $1 million or $500,000 or even $100,000 or $50,000 for that matter. We're paying taxes on it. But is it not something that all of us do, is to try and find a way to keep our money in our pocket instead of giving it to the government? Is that not what we do?
I would say that is a two-parted answer, and here's the reason. One, as the current state of government, yes, that is the correct answer. Now, if we were getting the bang for our buck, if our tax dollars were to be putting to good use, if we were getting things like infrastructure, we were getting things that were necessary to have this country function, I would say no. But we're not.
Exactly.
Until that changes, we're doing nothing but spinning our wheels, pointing each other, and calling names. And
has the state, let me ask you this question, because you seem to be very astute and you've given some thought to this. Have the states, all 50 of them, have they given over too much, ceded too much power to the feds, whereas the infrastructures that normally we could, in fact, have fixed with a little bit of federal help, have we given too much of that power to the feds, and are we looking too codependent on them, in your opinion, Bo?
In my opinion, it's flat out. The federal government was meant to be nothing more than a buffer system and an armed forces services. That's what our founders designed that for. We were supposed to be independent states, but as one, and that's where the government was the one cohesive unit, but each individual state was their own entity, and we all had our own voice, and now we're just a voice of government. Exactly right.
Which means that, okay, if we went over to Texas and their roads were better, and I don't, you're a Louisianian, I'm presuming that you're a Louisianian.
Sure.
Well, then, you know, Bo, you know this, and I hate this about it, too. When you cross over that Texas line, if you're asleep in your car, you say your wife's driving, you cross over that Texas line, you know that you're back in Louisiana because of the road conditions.
I agree. I mean, I would like to see the statistics on it, but I'm pretty sure we have far less people falling asleep and having records about roads. I mean, we've got to.
There's no doubt about it. But the scenario that I'm trying to paint is this. If the states were in charge of their infrastructures, with a little bit of federal, help maybe every once in a while, but if the states were in charge of their roads and bridges and all of that, the way they should be, then you could see very plainly that it's better to live in Louisiana, or it's better to live in Texas. Why? Because maybe the schools are better, and that's a state-run thing. Or maybe the roads are better, and that turns you on, then that's a state-run thing. Bo, that's where the people's voices need to be heard, from state to state to state. And, brother, I want to thank you for calling.
Thank you, CL. You have a great day, sir.
You too, man. You know, he's right. He is right as far as it's concerned. These taxes, and I like the way he put that. Listen, if we were getting the bang for our buck that we should be, that we expect to get when you write the check to the feds, October 15th, 17th is the deadline. It's coming up. When you write the check, whatever it is, if you got an extension, if you write the check, then if you were getting the bang for your buck and everything was running along smooth, the infrastructure, all that was good, and you had no reason really to complain as much, then hey, you wouldn't mind writing the check. But if you're not getting the bang for the buck, and then people are complaining about you avoiding paying the taxes, what are they talking about? I'm not getting my dollar's worth. Do y'all remember when you go pull up to the I'm old enough to remember this. Give me $2 worth. Talking about gas. Talking about gasoline. I remember the day if you gave a person $2 or $3 for gas for coming to pick you up to take you somewhere, you actually gave them something. You actually bought them a half a tank, maybe a tank of gas. $2 or $3. Now, my millennials out there, you'll think I'm crazy, but you used to be able to actually nearly fill the car up with $2 or $3. $5. My goodness, $10 worth of gas, 10 gallon. You just about fill it up. You were getting the bang for your buck. That's an example of getting the bang for your buck. No more. No more days like that. I don't think there ever will be again. I'm CL. We'll be back. CL, back with you on this Monday here in the jeweled cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport, and Bossier. And I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me here, particularly those of you in southern Arkansas and East Texas. And, of course, we're streaming live throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. And on with me now are two of our native daughters, and they are about Truth Matters. And, folks, I have brought on a couple of occasions in times past one of my church members and someone who I personally have an incredible respect for, she and her husband, and that is Kim Banks. But joining me now with Kim is also a friend of hers and an associate, Kathy Allen, who is director of Louisiana Black Advocates for Life. Kathy, I want to welcome you for the first time to the show, and Kim, I want to welcome you back.
Thank you.
Great pleasure to be here.
Yes.
Kathy, tell me, what is Black Advocates for Life? What is that?
Black Advocates for Life is a statewide outreach project designed to reach the Black community, the African American community, to encourage greater involvement in the pro-life movement, in pro-life ministry, and ultimately to inform our community so that we will gradually reduce and ultimately end abortion in our community.
Wow. That is a strong statement. I have been places in the country where, and in fact in the state in the city of New York back in 2008, and I believe the statistic is about the same. More black babies were being aborted than born.
That's right.
We actually had a negative growth rate, population growth rate in this country, which just absolutely blew me away. What made you get involved?
I became involved because I realized that when you add the statistics of deaths in the Black community in 1 year from HIV, cancer, and heart disease, and you total those numbers, it's still not as many deaths as the deaths from abortion.
What?
Abortion,
say it again. Say that again.
Abortion is the #1 killer of Black people in the state of Louisiana, more than HIV, cancer, or heart disease.
That is shocking.
Things that we talk about and into which we put money and research and time.
Absolutely shocking.
So this is really just not acceptable, because at this rate, our population will soon become extinct. We're 32% of the population, and we have 60% of the abortions in the state of Louisiana.
Kim, you're the lead coordinator for the organization. And now there is definitely, even though, folks, I know that you have to be shocked by the numbers alone, but the upside is what, Kim?
Well, I think the solution to the high rate of abortion in our community is to educate our community, first of all, of what's going on. And we try to do that in many, many ways. My Alpha 21 is a movie that has historical information about the history of abortion from the beginning. So we try to have screenings in different places to educate our community. But also, I actually work at the Crisis Pregnancy Center. And the young ladies that come in there that are in a crisis pregnancy situation, they only have 3 options. It's either adoption, parenting, or abortion. And so we would hope they would choose life, of course. And many of them, if they're thinking about abortion, they're not thinking about parenting right about that time. So we believe adoption is the solution. That's the answer to helping these young ladies to see that abortion is not their only option. There are families out there that will take their babies.
Now, the purpose of the gathering tomorrow night, is that right?
Yes.
That's going to be at Bishop Brandon's Bossier location?
Yes.
Tell us where, how, and what we're going to.
This is actually the Hosea Project, along with Louisiana Black Advocates for Life, that's hosting Truth Matters. It's in honor of National Night Out. It's actually a party. We're going to have fun, entertainment, lots of things for the kids, but we're also going to talk about the things that really matter in our community. We'll have someone talking about Medicare. We'll also have someone talking about adoption and foster care. And then we'll have a healing portion of the program for those women who have experienced abortion in the past. the pregnancy center has a representative that will talk about an abortion recovery program to help them get through the healing process of it.
Now, Kathy, there is no story that anyone who has not experienced this can tell more effectively than someone who has actually experienced this. I really like that part of it, is that these women, they get a chance to communicate their own stories.
And there's nothing more effective than the personal testimony of a woman who has experienced the grace and the mercy of God after going through something like an abortion. And Reverend C.L., the reason there's so much abortion in our community is because of the secrecy. Not enough of us coming forward and sharing our stories and letting people know that you can go on with your life. You can live a life of holiness. You can still be a positive force in the community. You still have value in and of yourself and as a member of your faith community and the community at large, even if you've been involved with abortion.
When, ladies, when did this change in the black community? Because, see, I remember when, let's say, one of the girls in the family got in trouble, as we used to call it. Well, she might be sent off to Detroit or somewhere, and all of a sudden Aunt Susie got a baby. But Kathy came. Kathy came back home. Okay, but Aunt Susie got the baby. We didn't kill the child. When can we? Is there a point on the timeline that we can point to where somehow that has?
Let's see. When was Margaret Sanger born? 1926. I don't know, but she's the reason, I think. We have been targeted. We've been targeted. And so Planned Parenthood has come into our communities. They've placed these nice facilities, and we're here to help girls. So they come through the front door, you know, happy about being helped, and they go out the back door hurting and in pain. So,
and 79% of abortion facilities are located in or near minority neighborhoods. So it's pretty easy to walk over there.
So that says within itself, this is the target, because you put the facility in the place where the facility is going to be used.
Exactly.
And so this, I want to applaud Bishop Brandon for being bold on this, because I travel, I crisscross the nation once a month, probably every month. And I talk about this in my film. In fact, I'll get you ladies a copy of the film Runaway Slave. In my movie, Catherine Davis says this, and it's profound what she says. She herself had abortions, and her mother was gone at this point in time. But when she was talking to her mother about abortions, her mother said, there is no way that a black woman would do this to her child. Not since we've come through slavery. There's no way. But she was saying that her mother would weep if she could actually see the statistics that you all have pointed to. I'm CL. I'm going to be back on the other side of the break with Kim Banks and Kathy Davis. Both of them are here for a worthy cause. We're going to talk much more in detail about it. National Night Out. Truth matters. Truth matters. When I return, don't go anywhere. Right back.
Amen.
CL back with you on this Monday. And folks, I have two ladies in the house with me tonight. They are here representing the Hosea Project and Louisiana Black Advocates for Life. They'll host Truth Matters October 4th, that's tomorrow night, at the Praise Temple of Bossier City. Now, that's located at 1760 East Texas Street there in Bossier, right across the bridge. Going across the bridge, 1760 East Texas Street in Bossier. Now, some of the hot topics will be Medicare expansion, how that affects you, healthy eating habits, all of us need to know, adoption and other options to abortion, and there are other options to, in my discipline, in my faith belief, and in my opinion, it's murder. There's options to that. Believe what you want. You agree with me or disagree? You can call the number. We'll talk about it. 320-5335, 320-5335. HIV testing. Real estate. You know, that's one thing that I've been involved in as far as that is concerned. It's a great way to secure your future, create wealth through real estate. Maybe you should know about that. And then there's going to be fun, food, fellowship, entertainment for the family, door prizes. Who will get the $100 gift card? You need to show up. Find out 1760 East Texas tomorrow night. You'll be able to meet my friend Kim Banks and my church member as well. And also you'll get a chance to meet Sister Kathy Davis as well. Now, folks, let's talk about the truth matters. What truth are we missing? What truth is America missing about the evil? And I'll call it evil. I'll call it what it is. You have to call it what it is.
Yeah.
Abortion is evil.
Oh, yes.
How are we missing this truth? Where there used to be a stopgap somewhere, but it somehow is missing. What are we missing when we talk about truth matters? How come we have to be told this?
Well, we have a culture now that is very individualistic. It focuses on what I can do for myself. We live in a culture where we believe that our clothes or our car or our job determine our value in the world, and that life is something that's expendable, that it's something that can be, we determine whether or not we want to do something based on convenience, based on whether it's going to work out, and a lot of our decisions are made in fear rather than in faith. And so what we say is that we already all know life is precious. We know by Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter. We see what's going on around our country. We know that we have an intrinsic knowledge that life is precious, but we've become disconnected by that because of our culture. And so we're asking people to just get in touch with what is already inside of them, to become reconnected to the fact that life is precious, and that is the truth to which we want everyone to become connected.
Kim, I have found, very good, Kathy. Kim, I have found that there is a go along to get along type of attitude that our young people seem to be wanting to not be pushed out of. So when someone comes and says, hey, so she's pregnant, it has gotten to a point now, and I know we're a long way away from the day when the girl's daddy would come and say, y'all go get married. And for some reason, you know, there's a lack of responsibility here. And you know me. You know that one of my sermons that I preach across the nation is the man stepping up. The man stepping up and taking personal responsibility for his actions. Kim, you combating this, are we at a point, are we at a crossroads where we can say there very well could be a turning point back to that responsibility that's necessary, in your opinion?
Well, I would hope so. You know, we pray and we believe And God is able to do abundantly more than we could ever ask or think.
Oh, yeah.
And so we pray that it'll come back around. He said, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, then I'll hear and I'll heal. And so we're believing that it'll come back around. Right now, it's looking a little bleak, but we're going to keep praying, and we're going to keep doing things like this, Truth Matters, with the National Night Out. And we're going to keep bringing awareness to our community of the need to respect life.
Wow.
Yes.
Respect life. Otherwise, Kathy, we get a culture of death.
Amen. And Reverend C.L., we've seen around the state that people are desperate to break the silence and break the secrecy. I've had so many women and men walk up to me after a presentation crying, talking about their stories, and just relieved that someone's saying something.
The men are affected as well.
The men, and we can't forget that men are impacted by
Yes.
abortion.
I'm CL. Listen, tomorrow night, I'll be talking to you a little bit more after the break about this important event. Back in a minute.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
Welcome back to the C.L. Bryant Show. I am C.L., and we're streaming live throughout the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. It is I, your native son, right here in the jeweled cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport, and Bossier City. And I have had the absolute pleasure of being on with my good friend Kim Banks and Kathy Davis here. Both of them will tomorrow night host and, of course, be a part of something that I think should be near and dear to all of you. Is the Hosea Williams? It's the Hosea Project, and who was a great preacher, by the way. Hosea Project and Louisiana Black Advocates for Life will host Truth Matters. It's a national night out party. Gonna have a great time. So be there for a very important topic and learn more about Medicare expansion, health, eating habits. We all need that. Adoption and other options to abortion, HIV testing, real estate. One of the ways to create wealth in this country, don't care who you are, is through owning land. Now, food, fun, fellowship will all be there. Now, joining me are two other ladies who I think I have just made good friends with and new friends with. One, Janet Jackson. I hadn't noticed that. Hello. And she is chapter coordinator for Concerned Women for America of Louisiana, and Sancha N. Smith, state director of Concerned Women for America. Ladies, welcome to the C.L. Bryant Show, the most listened to talk show in the Arklatex, and thank you so much for being on it.
Thank you for having us. It's our pleasure.
Now, Sancha, I'm going to start with you. Tell me about Concerned Women for America, Louisiana branch or chapter. What is it about? What's your mission? What's your goal?
Well, Concerned Women for America, we are the nation's largest public policy women's organization. We're bigger than now. We have over 500,000 members throughout the United States, domestic and, our territories.
Really?
We have an international footprint. We've sent delegations to Beijing, to Israel. We have fellows at the UN. So our presence is felt in our capital.
I am deeply, because see, all you hear is now. Mm-hmm. All you ever hear about is now. But we're going to see about Michelle, we need to make them famous. I mean, really. And now, Janet.
Yes.
Aside from your famous name, how did you get involved with this?
I got involved with Concerned Women for America. Sancha is my mentor. And for a long time, I really didn't know all that what she did entailed, because I was pretty basically finishing my master's degree and just doing life. And one day she was at my kitchen table. She left a brochure on the table. She said, I want you to look at this. Because one thing she's most concerned about as we look for women to be a voice in America is that your heart is in it and that you're committed to it, that this is your season and this is your portion. So one of the things that we led out to do with this was to just stay focused on...
No, that was me. Or is it you?
Stay focused with what was going on here in our lives. So even as she left that on my kitchen table, sorry about that. On my kitchen table, one of the things that I done was I picked up the brochure. I looked at the brochure, and immediately I knew this was something that God had put on my heart to do.
Let me ask you this, Janet and Sancha. In fact, Sancha, I'm coming back to you right now. When we talk about Concerned Women for America, what is one, maybe two, of the primary concerns?
Well, first of all, let me, in finishing to answer your first question, our mission is to influence all levels of public policy with the biblical worldview.
Okay.
And so we don't shrink back from that. And we have 6 core values. Real quickly, the sanctity of human life, defense of family, education, religious liberty, sexual exploitation, national sovereignty, and support for Israel. Those are the 7 core values that we focus on advocacy for.
Well.
And so when the legislators are in session, we are in Baton Rouge, speaking truth to power, speaking the truth in love, and speaking life. And so that is our motto here at the state. We don't have to, get into the endless loop of negativity that traditional media feeds us. We, because we're believers, we we speak the truth to power.
The endless truth of negativity that the progressive liberal media feeds us.
Yes.
Bingo. Right on the money. As far as that's concerned, I'm a senior fellow with an organization called Freedom Works in Washington, D.C. We're the largest grassroots organization in the country. We boast about 6 million activists on the ground right now throughout the nation and even in foreign lands. I'm going to make it my business to hook hook y'all up with us, because the core values that you have outlined are the core principles of what we're about, as what's America about. And unless you really understand how to enjoy the fruits, you got to know, in order to enjoy the fruits, you got to know what the fruits are.
Yeah. You need truth at the root.
Exactly.
And so you can see the fruit.
Sanchi, we're going to be back. Janet, we're going to be back after the break with more with Concerned Women for America. I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show. And folks, I want to thank Holmes, Honda, European, Chevyland, as well as Grub Burger for sponsoring this portion of the CL Bryant Show. Back in a minute.
The sky is crying. Canyons of the tears roll down the street.
Tomorrow night, there will be an event that will take place at Bishop Larry Brandon's Bossier location, 1760 East Texas Street in Bossier City. Cross the bridge and go and have food, fun, and fellowship, and then learn about some hot topics that will be going on: Medicare expansion, healthy eating habits, adoption, and other options to abortion. We were talking about Sancha with Kathy and Kim before you and Janet came on. Janet, you two ladies are not nearly anywhere close to my age group, but
Don't let the smooth taste fool you.
But y'all may remember that when one of the girls in the family got in trouble, if they got in trouble, well, we might send them to Detroit or Chicago or out to California, and all of a sudden Aunt Susie got a new baby, and Mary came home, but we didn't kill the baby. Now, this is, I had asked this question, and we I don't know if there is an answer to it, but we did point to Margaret Sanger as far as her evil deeds were concerned. But is there a point on the timeline where we can see this changing because the black community, we didn't kill our babies. We may not have been the best we may not have had enough to feed them, but we tried. But we didn't kill them.
That's right.
Where did this change on that timeline? Is there an identifiable place?
I think 1973 Roe versus Wade was the open door to legalizing murder. And because the church did not, stand in the gap, maybe they didn't know how to fight. They didn't know why the fight was that even they had a need to fight at that point. But that was the beginning of that slippery slope of legalizing murder. And because the words matter, and they're the words develop.
Words matter.
Yeah, words matter, and they define the cultural norm. We use words to define our cultural norms. And so, you had free love, you had if it feels good, do it. You had again, those shotgun weddings back in the 50s and the 60s, right?
Yes, indeed. You gonna marry my daughter.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Janet, how can we help you?
Well, you can help, and I want to say this to all the listeners out there. You can really help just by being involved. You can help by getting involved by starting tomorrow night with the event, Truth Matters, because a lot of information going to come forth there. I think we work hand in hand with this organization, Concerned Women for America. We link up with other organizations that's about the same core values that we have. And one of our main core values is pro-life. We are very tenacious about life and the awesomeness of life.
From conception
I'm encouraged.
to natural death.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm encouraged. I'm going to tell you why I am so encouraged. As I was telling Kathy and Kim, I crisscross this nation once a month, every month, on my way to Wilmington on Wednesday and then to Pittsburgh and somewhere else. Michelle, you can tell me later. Milwaukee. And this is something that I run into. And you can tell me if you see this. Our pastors, and Lord knows I've been a part of them for 35 years. Love my brethren, okay? But when it comes to this topic,
yes,
I see Pastor Brandon standing up, and I see others that I can't name standing up. But by and large, this is a topic that they tend to shy away from. They sort of let this one go along to get along. Why is that not acceptable?
That's not acceptable because the Word of God tells us, Yeshua demonstrated that we can have compassion without compromise. You understand? And this is well, at the root of it, it's a sin problem. But beyond that, if we don't know how to communicate the truth and love and know that even if we all have access to redemption, to salvation, right? So when you're given a choice or you feel like you're forced into a choice to have an abortion and you make that decision to end the life of your baby, know that there's a balm in Gilead for your soul. Know that there's forgiveness. Know that just because you made the mistake once, twice, even 3 times, that you don't have to make it a 3rd, 4th, or 5th time. And that, get your heart right. Search your motives. You can have the best quality of life, but it's going to come at a price. It's going to come at, denying yourself daily, taking up your cross and following him. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. It's going to come through salvation. And so I'm fully persuaded that my work with CWA is ministry. I'm called to teach kingdom to government and government to kingdom. I have a twin mandate on my life, and I've been scourged by the best of them.
Oh, no doubt about it. Sanjay, I'm going to have to leave it there.
Okay.
But listen, I got to have you back.
Please do.
Maybe by phone. Janet, thank you so much
Thank you.
for being here. Concerned Women for America, Louisiana chapter. You can learn more about them, and I'll give you the website when I return in just a couple of minutes. I'm CL. CL, and listen, I want to make sure that we don't get out of here without giving to you the website. And I still have Sancha here with me and Janet Jackson still. Yes, I have Janet Jackson in the house with me tonight. And
Janet R.
but Sancha N. Is that middle name was Noel. Sancha Noel is here with me. Put her mic on, Jay. Okay, you're there. Sancha Noel, tell us the website that we should go to for Concerned Women for America of Louisiana.
It's la.cwfa.org, O-R-G. That's CWFA, Concerned Women for America. If you leave out the F, you will get the Communication Workers of America.
You don't want it?
Union. No.
You don't want it. But if you've been with me from the beginning, you know that we kicked off the show, first of all, with Secret Service agent Dan Bongino. And he was telling us some of the things that we certainly need to pay attention to as far as taxes and all that type thing is concerned, and then the concerns that we have for safety of candidates and that type of thing here in our country. And then came behind him with Cassie Hammett of The Hub and Leanne Bussey of Women Who, what's that Leanne? Yeah, Purchased, Not For Sale, was here with us. And then Kim Davis and Kathy came on with us here. And I got to tell you something. I have just been absolutely blessed by these ladies. And then the icing on the cake came with Sancha and Janet here tonight. It has just been fantastic. A full night of service. And folks, that's what this is about. What's it about? If not here to serve. And if not you, who's going to do this? It is something that is necessary. And so please go to the various websites that you have heard. Be sure to pick up Dan's book, Dan Bongino's book. He was a Secret Service agent who guarded President Clinton and, of course, First Lady Clinton, and served also President Bush. His book is Life in the Bubble. Life in the Bubble. You can pick it up on Amazon. And Michelle and the CL Bryant Show, we have purchased a table there for the Hub's fundraiser next Tuesday night, and want you to do the same. And, of course, you go to la.cwfa.org and help these ladies here, Concerned Women for America. And Kim, God bless you and God keep you, and Kathy. I want to thank God for bringing us to the close of yet another day. And I want to thank him for our men and women in uniform around the globe who defend our right to speak our mind. And until I'm able to talk to you again, I'm CL. And may God bless and keep you all.